All right, anything else?
It has a standard to how to add to the database, how to read, write, and remove items from the database.
Okay. Yep.
Ways to do it.
So I got a bunch of great answers. Remote, do you have any input? All right, so it's a structured, efficient way of storing, managing data. Depending on the type of database you are working with, there are structured ways of how to read, write, update, delete data. Does that make sense? All right. We can query databases using SQL. SQL is, what does it stand for? Oh my God, it's structured query language. Is that right? I just totally made that up. It's a total guess. I think maybe right. And that's what we'll be covering next week. We're going to be talking about SQL next week. But in preparation for that, we're going to talk about storing, saving data to files, updating data to files, reading data from files. There's a bunch of ways. There's a bunch of different file types that we can store data. One of those is CSV. Has anybody heard of a CSV file? Yep. What does it stand for, Stephen? All right. A CSV file is a comma-separated, what is it, value? Yeah. CSV stand, like, meaning? Comma, space, or comma-separated values. You will encounter JSON files, JavaScript object notation, YAML file, which stands for, what is it? No markup language. Like a YAML file, it's like ain't no markup language. Yeah, it's really funny. Anyway.
So, yet another markup language. Yet another.
Yet another. Yeah. There's a bunch of different files where you can store or retrieve data from. And throughout your career, you're going to be like, think of an application that you want to download information from. So, for example, we use REPL for your guys' challenges and application challenges, including your pre-work. When we want to see all your data, we actually click a button that downloads and exports in a CSV file. So CSV files are not going away anytime you want. If a company, if you work in payroll and you want to upload your payment file to the bank, you can upload via a CSV file, which has all the metadata in it, like who your payee is, like your account number, all this data. If you are, like, for example, my last job, one of our clients wanted engagement data of their users. So every Friday or something, we had like a script that would run, and it would push a CSV file to our client, and so they can access the data. All right. Does anybody have any questions about CSV files?
Can CSV file values be separated by anything other than commas? And can you include commas in your data if they're separate?
There might be a way, but no, I don't think so. Because I remember even when I worked in banking, we'd walk through clients of like, all right, here's how you upload your file, and people would have commas in their name, and it'd mess up their payment file and stuff. Yes.
So a lot of the CSVs too are like, they're mostly like just Excel tables that are just getting imported in. They've got their headers and then the data that's under them. It's literally like that. So there's not necessarily actual commas going on. It's organized tables of data.
Okay. I'm going to piggyback off that. Dan said pretty much like CSV files are pretty much like Excel spreadsheets that have headers and a bunch of columns and data. So what is generally the shape of a CSV or database? What does it have? You kind of alluded to it.
Just like rows and columns.
Rows and columns, correct, yeah. So if you've ever used Excel before or Google Sheets, it looks like a bunch of rows, like a bunch of columns, and generally the very first row is like the headers, the name of the columns. So let's walk through some CSVs. I'm going to make directory, CSV practice, ls CSV practice, clear. Now I'm going to touch NFL teams.csv. Now I'm going to open up. Where's CSV practice? All right, I've got NFL teams. Notice how the file looks different than Python and README. It's denoted by this. It's like, oh, it's an actual CSV file. So let's bring up. So in here, I've got NFL teams. I have an ID, team, wins, losses. So this is just a table with columns and rows, where the row represents a team and a column represents a specific attribute of the team, like the name, the wins, and losses. All right. So we're going to use Python to actually read, write, update, delete these from a CSV file. So when you're at your job and you're like, oh, I need this, sales needs this report for X, Y, Z. They need these numbers, and they want to be able to go in there and access that data from the database. You're able to go in that database, manipulate it, and put it into a CSV file for your sales team, your marketing team to use. Instead of them coming to you like, hey, can you do a SQL query and give me all clients that have over $1 million in revenue and have a margin of 20%, something like that, and have. So this is kind of that. We're going to be kind of doing that. So in addition to having a CSV file, we need a Python file, NFL, I don't know, NFL teams, NFL CSV, Python. Oh, I got to touch NFL team CSV file. Over here, here's my CSV Python file. I'm going to split the screen here. So I've got my NFL teams and my CSV file. So how do we import, like how do we read stuff from a CSV file in Python? All right, hold on, what is going on? Try to open a new window. CSV in Python. All right, cool. So it looks like Python has a built-in module, a CSV module defines the following functions, csv.reader. Okay, it's like, all right, short usage example. All right, can someone mute who's ever? Check and see who's talking. So it looks like we can import a CSV. Let's look at what else. It looks like open or with blank or with open. Looks like this the CSV file. I don't know what this new line is. As CSV file. Spam reader, CSV, whatever. Don't know. All right. Let's go into it. So we have this open, with open, and then we can grab the actual NFL teams.csv. So this is the name of the file. And it's not just, this is actually the path to the file in relation to where this file is located at. So in relation to this NFL CSV.python file, all I have to do to access the NFL teams Python file is just type in NFL teams. If this was somewhere else, if the NFL teams CSV file was located somewhere else, I would have to give essentially the absolute file path to that CSV file, which we'll get into later on. But you don't need to know that now because all your CSV files will be within, essentially within wherever your challenge is located at. So you're importing this open, you're importing the CSV module with this open, which is a method, open this NFL CSV file as, we do it as NFL teams file. So I'm opening this file and I'm renaming it like as NFL teams file. Then CSV reader equals CSV dot reader, then NFL teams file. So the CSV module has a built-in method called reader, and it takes in the NFL teams file that we want to call it. Where's that at? Is it reader? So CSV reader. So that's the name of the CSV file up here. Cool. I think these are like optional at the moment. So for row and spam reader. So I'm just going to copy it. For CSV reader in, for row and CS, let's actually just print this. Print CSV reader. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it looks like. So I'm going to Python NFL CSV. All right, so this is like a CSV reader object. All right, I don't know what that, okay, cool. So I'm guessing it's everything within here. So for row in CSV reader, print row. I'm looking at here, I'm kind of mimicking this. I just want to see what the row is. Clear. Got my CSV file. All right. So it looks like it's printing every single row as a list. Right here we have the first row, second row, third row, fourth row, all the way down. It's importing it as a list. That's great. But what if there's other ways we can import this stuff? So if I don't want it to be a list, I can look at just reading down here. CSV defines classes, CSV dict reader, create an object that operates like a regular reader, but maps information in each row to a dict, whose keys are given by the optional field names parameter. Yeah, I don't know what any of that means, but it looks like in here, it says it operates, returns it as a list. So right here is a list of strings. So the reader method returns it as a list of strings, where the dict reader returns it as an object. So so this is where we've got list returns as a list, and then here, let's go. We have CSV reader dict. Oh, see, like, so what's cool is CSV module, I press dict. So we got this dict reader right here. And this takes in NFL teams file. We can print row. Let's see what that looks like. So all we change between this one and this one is the built-in method that we're using to read each row. Python, we're going to run it again. Okay, so it's different. We got an ordered dict. That looks like an array. This is kind of weird looking, but it says it operates like a regular, maps information to rows. Keys are given by the optional field names. So it looks like these are the field names. If I do print row, but I just want the ID, team. Let's see what that looks like. So since this is a dictionary and the keys are given by the optional field names parameter, I don't know, let's see what that looks like. Clear it. All right, so it looks like I can access each individual team by calling the key team, which is represented by the headers of the CSV file. That's pretty cool, I think. But now, how do we update? What if we want to write to this? So we have.
But real quick, the line 11 with open the name of the file as is the next thing what we're going to call the list.
This could be anything.
Well, so every time we reference it to that name.
Yes.
This could be anything.
Correct. So I'm looking here, how do I write to a CSV? So I've got reader, I've got writer. So let's see what writer looks like.
Open a file with just JavaScript parameters.
I'm not sure. I'll have to get to that. I'm not quite sure yet. If we can, that'd be great. So I'm going to do writer. I'm going to write to this NFL teams file. But now I need to, all right. What do I actually want to write to it? Writer. So I'm looking at a short usage example. Writer. Do this write row. And like what I want to write to it is, I don't even know what that is. Is that an array? So I guess these are the values I want to write to it. All right. So CSV, the CSV writer. I'll actually call it NFL writer. NFL writer dot write row. Write row, there we go. An array of IDs, so 11, we got Giants. The Giants record this year, 6-4, something like that. Let's do another one. 12. Bucks. 8 and 2. Is there 8 and 8? Let's, if I run this, opens NFL teams CSV file as NFL teams. We're going to assign this variable NFL writer to equal this CSV.writer, which is a built-in method in the CSV module, and we're passing in the CSV file. We're taking that CSV file, which was an object, like a class, like an object. We're doing write row, which is another built-in method, and we are passing it an array, which each index accounts for the column that the CSV file is structured in. And we're writing in these, we're adding these ones. I'm gonna clear it, see what happens.
Tom, do you have to set the mode to append as opposed to write?
We probably will do that. I just want to show you guys this first.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You're ahead of us. Let's do this. So I'm gonna write, what happened? Uh-oh, right row. What's going on? Right row, NFL teams.
It's not writable.
Oh.
We have a W.
So IO unsupported, not writable. Okay, I don't know what that means. So not writable. So what was that, Stephen? W. So dialect W. So I don't know what that means. Let's see what it does. So yeah, W. Dialect, all right. Let's just put this in there.
And also use new lines as well, and then just do it.
W. I'm looking at mode W. If I don't need that, just want to see what that looks like. Oh, so let's look at what happened. Well, I wrote over everything. It's not good. It's never good. So let's look at the different modes that we need.
Can you put A for pen?
So we have read only starts at the beginning of the file, which is the default. Read write starts at the beginning file, which is not necessarily what we want. Write only truncates existing file to length 0. So that's what we have right now. Read write truncates existing file to 0 length. Append writes only starts at the end of the file if file exists. All right, cool. So maybe we want that, or this one. Append read only starts at the end of file if it exists. Oh, this is a read and write. Binary file mode, text mode. So let's go into, so which one do we need? A to append. So what's cool about CSV files, we can just, oh, there we go. So instead of A, we'll want append, or instead of W, to write only, we want to append. Let's see what happens. Hey, cool. Very interesting. All right. But what if, so we're appending via the writer, which is kind of like the reader. But what if we want to do it like we did like the dict writer or dict reader? So we can possibly do dictionary instead of just a list when we append. So I'm going to comment this out. Append. So if we want to use, we have a dict reader. Now we have a dict writer. Create an object operates like a regular writer but maps dictionaries into or onto output rows. The field names parameter is a sequence of keys that identify the order in which the dictionary passed to the right row method are written to the file. All right, here we go. Looks like here's an example. Field names. I don't know. Field names, first name, last name. I'm guessing that's probably the column name. And I have to pass it in as a second argument. And then right header, right row. It looks like this is an object of items. So instead of, we'll do dict writer. Let's do, what do we add? Headers. We have ID, team, wins, losses. And then I have to pass that as a header. Is it field name? Maybe it's field names equals headers. Let's just try that. Fields names equals headers. And then we do the right row. But we pass in an object, ID. So in this first one where we're not using the dict writer, we're passing in an array in which the index coincides to the header. Whereas when we use this dict writer, we create a dictionary or an object where the ID is the key, the value obviously. Wins, 6 losses. Let's see what happens. So I already appended this. Let's delete those two and run this. Uh-oh, headers is not defined, so this doesn't work. What if I do like headers? I don't know. Oh wait, whoops. I think I did it twice. let's see, headers. So headers is not defined on line 18, which is here. So I had a headers and I accidentally said header right there. Oh, snaps. Try that again. I'm running it down. Oh, okay.
I think your empty spaces end on line 16.
Ah, so it's wherever the cursor is within the CSV files where it's going to append to. That's interesting.
I found that because I in this line and stacked it rather than saying.
So I'm going to keep the cursor up here at the top and don't mess with it. That's weird.
It prints after the last line.
Oh, so it's the last line, not where the cursor is. So if I get rid of that line, move my cursor up here. What the hell?
Yes, goes automatically.
All right, there we go. So depending on how many lines you have, that's where your next thing is going to be appended to. So if we just do, cool. Does anybody have any questions with regards to reading from a CSV, writing to a CSV, and appending to a CSV? I want to print NFL writer again. I just want to see what that looks like. Clear. Get rid of this. So it's a dict writer object. So it's not like a normal dictionary. It's not just like an object with all these key values. Interesting.
If you're typing into a dictionary, does the NU define the, like in this case, like the ID team wins losses? If you switch those around, will it automatically know which header to put them in?
So if I switch these around,
Right.
should. Let's try it out.
Or since you already like define headers up above, if you just enter in the values, will it automatically know where to populate them under if you just put them in the same order?
I think they have to be in this order. If that's what you're asking. So yeah. And then what did you just say before? If these were in a different order?
No, the last thing was I was saying on line 10, if you just entered in the values instead of like the key value pair, if you entered them in the order you see, so like if you just entered in the value for ID, the value for team, and so on, if it would correspond to the same, if it would input as the same header.
Oh, up here?
No, down on, I think it's whatever the last line is.
So right here?
Yeah, so inside there, if you just entered in the values instead of the key value pair.
So don't say team ID wins or losses.
So what would it be?
So if you just did Bucks 12.
12, 8, and
No, because this is a dictionary. So if I just got rid of the dictionary. So we're passing in an object or a dictionary that has key values. So it can only work when you're passing in an object. An object has to have key values.
There's nowhere that tells it that that's the order.
Right. What other questions do you have?
Let's say you want to add another row. Let's say win loss or ID team wins losses and like maybe points for or something.
Points?
oh yeah, if you wanted to add another
Like another row
column.
or yeah, sorry, column. Would you just add it to the headers?
So,
Or like ties, something.
oh yeah, ties. There we go. Is that the right way to spell that? So let's just see what happens if I do this. Clear. So George's comment, question was, what if we wanted to add another column? So another header and like ties or something like that. How would that affect our CSV file? So I added ties. Do you want me to put ties in here too? Just see what happens?
Yeah.
Ties. 1. I'm going to delete this stuff because I don't want duplicates.
I think you have to ties on number 17, line 17.
So I have.
You added it. Okay.
So let's run this again. So ties never got put in there because we're not actually overwriting the header. If we want to override the header, we can say, what does this mean? Like, all right, write header. Interesting. NFL writer dot write header. Let's invoke it. I'm going to delete this again. Clear down here in the terminal. So I've got this headers. I added this ties column, and this Bucks, or I'm sorry, the Giants is the only one that actually has a tie. So I'm just putting it here. But I'm also doing this method called write header. Let's see what happens. Down here in the terminal. Ooh, that's not pretty. So it's also writing. Yeah.
Writing what the current header is.
So it's literally just writing the headers in the next available line.
So does that mean that everything after 12 will now have ties and everything before 12 wouldn't? Or is it
Just
I
the
have no idea how to
information
do
that
that.
Just the information. It doesn't necessarily will have ties or not. But this is not obviously a good way to do it. Now,
Is that because the mode? Like if you put an A+ instead?
so A+. What does A+ look?
It just changes from write only to read write.
Pen starts at end of file if it file exists. So it's
Oh no, never mind.
read
Doesn't
write.
make sense.
Was someone I saw someone else have a hand raised? Dan, did you have one?
no, it's kind of,
Would you be able to take, would you be able to, you read the file when you pull it up, when open, store it as a file and just have it append to a variable and kind of unpack it and then repack it and then send it through?
I'm not quite sure. That's something like I would explore doing though, but I'm not going to do it up here because I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually never tried to do that before, but yeah, that's definitely something to answer for. All right, I'm going to stop the